All right, our guest tonight on Toyota Sports Talk. Always great to have Nick Ashooh back on the program. GameDay Garage. If you don't know anything about it, all the social media channels, I love it, is his streaming platforms, IG. Also, he's on Locked On Podcast Group. He's everywhere. So, Nick, appreciate your time. Let's start with kind of your new ventures here. Let's start with your podcast. So, explain to our viewers what's going on there.
Launched a new show, actually, Locked On Podcast Network, like you mentioned. The show is called Commander's Squad. It's with Anthony Armstrong. Everybody remembers him, former Redskins receiver. Also, David Harrison, who hosts the Locked On Commanders podcast. Essentially, what the network has done is said, hey, a lot of people want Commanders stuff. Let's do more of it. So we launched a new show with that. And, of course, GameDay Garage. Every Thursday night, we're live streaming during Thursday Night Football. So the key here is that we're your second screen. You, sir, will be coming on the pregame show just after 8 Eastern on GameDay Garage.
My promise to you is before this season's done, I'm going to be there in the flesh. I need to experience the GameDay Garage in person because I see it, on your stream, and I'm like, dang, that looks like a lot of fun. So I'm excited to be on your show on Thursday.
Listen, I can't wait. I'm glad you love it. It's gotten a great response, and we've added a lot of things this new year. So we're live streaming starting at 8 Eastern on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. GameDay Garage is it's something I've been really, really proud of building up, and there's there's a lot of interest growing in it very quickly, so I'm very happy for that.
Love it. All right, let's talk some football, my friend, because it's a short week. Giants game is behind us. Let's focus on the Packers because it's coming up in a couple of days. This is a great matchup early in the season, Nick.
It is, and it's another statement game for this team. Heading into the season, there's a lot of talk about the Commanders regressing. Now, you and I have talked about this, right? Regression can mean a lot of different things. It could mean fewer wins, but maybe they're a better team. It could mean maybe they don't look as good as they did last year, period. A lot of those are still up in the air, but a big statement for the Commanders is going into Lambeau Field, standalone game, short week, Thursday Night Football, to really go out there and listen. Let's just play the hypothetical here because that's all we know. Let's say they lose this game, but it's a tight game, field goal, whatever the case is. You still should feel good about it overall. If you're going into Lambeau and you at least keep this thing close, it's a really hard place to play. It's a really hard place to win. If they at least look competitive and they look like a team that belongs in that game and belongs in that class, I think you do still feel good even if they don't win.
All right, so the defensive performance against the Giants really stood out to me. Now they got a good test against Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs. Let's see if they can duplicate that against the Packers on Thursday.
Listen, it's going to be a week-by-week thing, I think, in terms of how we sort of test these questions that we had last year, right? You look at what they did last week against the Giants, and you look at those running numbers and go, okay, they held Tyrone Tracy to 24 yards rushing on 10 carries. Russell Wilson was the guy with 8 carries and 44 yards. So, that defensive line, what did they want to do in the offseason, Scott? They wanted to get big. They wanted to get tough. They got 3 guys they added on that defensive front that are like 6'3" and above. They're monsters. Yeah. I mean, you walk out next to somebody that's 6'5", 315 pounds, and they don't feel human. So they got big so they could stuff the run. Then they wanted to add guys in the run game that could have some breakaway speed, make those big chunk yardage plays and kind of a back-breaking play like we saw against the Giants. So the pieces are there, but without question, this is a much bigger test against the Packers than what you had against the Giants in the run game.
And offensively, Deebo Samuel fitting in just fine with this Washington offense. He's old, he's slow, he's overweight. That wasn't the case against the Giants. Let's see if he can do it again against the Packers.
There is nothing better than a player with a chip on their shoulder. I really see a revenge season for Deebo Samuel. It's very clear they want to give him different looks in the offense, right? We talk about the chunk yardage and guys that have breakaway speed. Deebo showed that with that 19-yard touchdown run, almost 100 total yards of offense coming from him alone. If he continues to stay in shape and stay healthy, and that's the key, because Deebo Samuel's tough. Let's make no mistake about it. The guy has dealt with injuries in his career, and a lot of it is because he's willing to lower his shoulder, take some hits. If they use him in the right way and he stays healthy, this is maybe not like 1,400 yards receiving Deebo Samuel back in 2021, but if we can get 1,000, 1,100 total yards from him, they use him on the ground game at times, use him out of the slot, some different looks, even as a return guy. Like all these different things, the versatility of Deebo Samuel, and then the chip on his shoulder to prove he's still got something left in the tank, and maybe wants more money down the road too, Scott. All of these things together give us a very motivated Deebo Samuel this year and a whole different look that this offense didn't have last season.
Are you all aboard the Bill train?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Get me in on this. Listen, it's one thing to hype a guy up in the preseason. It's another to start to see those, trends continue during the regular season. Now, it's one game against the Giants, so I'm not going to get too excited. But I think we all know that given what you've seen from Bill Krosky-Merritt either now or at his time in college, had he played more at Arizona, dude's not a 7th-round pick. Like, he's going to be drafted a lot higher, which is what puts him in the potential to be an absolute steal for this organization. And it happens a lot with running backs, right? Alfred Morris is obviously a name that comes to mind with this organization. 6th-round pick, 13 touchdowns, 1,600 yards rushing his rookie year alone with them. But if they can continue to use him in these situations and you get 1 or 2 wow-type runs per game, they're going to add some other guys to the mix. I'd love to see more of Chris Rodriguez. I wanted to see it last year. I think this is an opportunity this year, even if you're throwing him on special teams at times. But Jacory Krosky-Merritt is somebody that has so much potential and showed it week 1 against the Giants, too.
All right, he is Nick Ashooh, one of my favorites to have on the program. Game Day Garage awaits on Thursday, my friend. Appreciate your time as always.
Can't wait to have you on, buddy.
All right, much more to come right here on Toyota Sports Talk. Stay with us.